I think people are joining in. We're starting to have a crowd. And it's time for the second webinar. What you've been listening to is Survival of the Fittest with Deep Mob. And when that is fading out, we are getting ready for the second webinar. This one is going to be on gesture interaction. Crunchfish is a company who actually have two technologies. We have digital cash, as we presented sort of last week. And we also have gesture interaction, which we will do an introduction to today. So if you could swap, Joachim, to the next slide here. This is the structure of the Crunchfish Group. I'm Joachim Samuelsson, the CEO of the group. And today with me, I have Joachim Nydemark. We've been camping together since 2012. Joachim is the CEO of Gesture Interaction. And within his team, we have Daniel Milesson, who is our director for R&D for Gesture Interaction. And that's going to be the panel of today, which is going to take you through, today. As always, we have this session in sort of three sections. First one will be a short presentation by Joachim Nydemark. Then we will have a panel discussion. Please ask questions, put it in the chat, and we will try to respond as much as we can. And then we will end with a co-creation or a participation session where we very much would like to hear from you. Can we be even better? Or whatever idea you have within gesture control, gesture interaction, we would love to hear about that. But without further ado, Mr. Nydemark, over to you.
Thank you so much, and very welcome everyone. Happy to be here today. So yeah, gesture interaction. This is all about interacting with the electronic devices without touching displays or any physical buttons. This is about using your hands and doing that from a certain distance. We tend to divide sort of the gestures here into some different categories. And the first category is what we call the static poses. So static poses is when you show your hand with a specific pose, like a thumbs up like this. And when the system recognizes this thumbs up, it triggers an event and something happens in that specific device. The second category is the dynamic gestures and tracking. And that is when we add sort of this tracking mechanism. Basically, you show your hand again for the system. The system have a point on your hand that it tracks. And again, you can do a specific pose that triggers something. But the difference here is that you can do that at a specific spot. So this can be used if you compare with a computer. You can have a mouse and you have a mouse point on the screen. And when you move around your mouse, this is moved around when moving your hand, and then you can click with a certain pose. For instance, this pinch click that we have as a signal for our gesture interaction. And then the third category is what we call the skeleton, and this is our latest, most advanced technology. And this is where we not only track sort of the whole hand, we actually track small points on the hand, 21 points to be exact. And these are then divided over the hand with fingertips and different parts of the hand. Could be the whole body as well, actually. This is also something that we have in our technologies now. So this includes both hand and body. So what is needed to make this happen? Well, of course, you need some sort of eye to this system. So our eyes here is camera. So the camera sensor is needed, and they come in different types and models. These are a few examples. This is a standard let's call it RGB camera that you can find in any mobile device. The other one is what we call a stereo, so you have two lenses, but again, a camera that is feeding images. Then you need some sort of computing hardware, and this could be a hardware in any electronic device, but this is the part where our software fit in to make this system work. And then, of course, you have this integrated product where it all ends up. That includes camera, hardware, computing hardware, and our software. And with that combination, you then enable gesture control in a number of different environments. On this picture, you can see augmented reality, virtual reality products. You have the mobile phone, public screens, and even cars. Could be sort of an area for gesture use. So if we go one step down and look at a little more how this works. So again, we have a camera, and the camera delivers a number of images, basically. So this could be done in different speeds. So we are talking about frames per second. So the number of images that's coming out from the camera. And that could be like 30 frames per second, 60, 120, depending on sort of how capable this hardware is. But let's say that you have a 30 FPS, a 30 frames per second system. That means that you have 30 frames that is per second fed into our exoskeleton engine, as in this example. So our software sort of takes care of these images, and for each of these image, we analyze and try to find sort of the hands and body in each of these images. And not only that, because when we have found, for instance, a hand, then the system put out these points on the hand. So each sort of fingertip and each joint, each moving part of your hand is actually one point that we define in the system. And what comes out in the other end from our engine is the coordinates for each of these points. And in essence, for hands, this is 21 points per hand, the coordinates for that, in 3 dimensions, actually. So that is what comes out from the engine and then can be used in for instance, an application to define this hand. So basically what this means is that we get a setup of points that we can connect together with lines that forms like this skeleton. That's why it's called a skeleton model. And this can then be mapped onto the hand and track that hand in all 3 dimensions. So to show a little more how this looks like in reality, I have a short demo video. And in this video, we are using a mobile phone, but again, it could be any kind of device, but a mobile phone is convenient to show demo with. So we are using a mobile phone, and we're using the camera then in that mobile phone, which is the standard RGB camera. And in this video, you will see how this all turns out. So let me start that video. And I will pause that for a second. And here you can see that you have sort of all these points on the hand. That is like the 21 points. You have the joints, you have the fingertips, and you have also 1 point in the center of the wrist. And these are all then connected with lines. And each of these points are then tracked in 3 dimensions. And it follows the real hand instantly in these 3 dimensions. And what you will see in this video as well is that when we do a few certain poses, like closing the hand, or doing like a pinch gesture, it will change color. And that is to show that we have added like these trigger commands. We could use and add any kind of trigger command in this, and any kind of combination of movement that could be this command. But in this example, we have chosen to use the closed hand and the pinch. And you will see it will turn blue when we do the pinch, and it will be, I think, red when you close your hand. Here you see the change color and it turns blue. We also have this effect, which is the what we call the robot hand. And this is also something that is a capability that is added when you have this full skeleton, that you can map any kind of, you know, glove or Mickey Mouse hand or what have you on top of the real hand. So this is done in the application, and this sort of glove will then follow the hand instantly, and it looks like it's actually on your real hand when you move around your hand, as you can see here in this this demo as well. And again, you see the different colors, and we move towards or between this robot hand and the real hand. So again, the camera is essential here. So to go in a little more detail, the different configurations that we are looking at here. So the standard scenarios is using standard RGB camera. So up to the left, you have a pair of AR glasses with one single RGB, and that works perfectly. But it's more like a rudimentary kind of setup in this context. In the middle, you have what we call a stereo camera setup, and this is also most often what we call wide angle cameras. So you have two camera lenses. They're placed with a distance, so that mimics sort of the eyes of the human being. The benefit of doing that is that you get an exact third dimension details into the picture, so you can see exactly the distance between each of these 21 points in the depth. Also, it opens up for a broader interaction space. So you have what we call a field of view from a camera, and that is sort of how wide the camera angle or the camera can see out from in this case the glasses. And in this field of view, you're able to interact because our system needs to see the hand. So if the system sees the hand, we can detect it and we can track it. So the wider that angle is, the better for us, because we can have a larger interaction space. And with that said, two lenses and a little more wide angle camera also opens up for a larger interaction space, and then two-hand interaction as well. I may add that having sort of two cameras also add a lot of complexity. So we are very proud to be able to actually be able to deliver this kind of solution. There are very, very few companies in the world that is capable of doing this, because you will get not only like 30 images per second, you will get 60 images per second, because it's twice the number of images. And also you have them in different angles, and that is what you see here up to the right, where you have different angles. You have left camera and right camera, and what we need to do then is that we need to place the points on the right camera and in the left camera, and then we need to combine those in 3 dimensions, making sure that we get sort of the real points on the hand. And that is what is seen in the lower picture here, where we combine the two with that information. The third thing here I want to show you in this picture is the infrared, and that is common to use in for instance, car environments. Light condition is something that affects the capability of the camera. So if it's extremely dark, you all know that if you have taken a photo or recorded videos in complete darkness, it's hard. So and most often you use some sort of flash. In a car, you're not able to use the flash for obvious reasons. So there has to be another kind of system. Infrared is the most commonly used, and we support that in our system as well. And the lower right here, you can see an IR image where we have complete darkness, but it's still very, in a way, it's easy to see, but it all becomes, you know, more black and grayish, and that is sort of a complexity as well to the system that we are able to manage. So again, where is then this gesture control most commonly used? Yeah, one area is of course the augmented and virtual reality. Main reason is there is no displays, and it's difficult and not very convenient to use buttons on these devices. If you have augmented reality glasses, hand controls is out of the question. So you need to have something else, and gesture control is the natural way. Also, when we talk about real augmented reality, where you have objects and you want to interact with these virtual objects and maybe move things around, interaction with your hands is the most natural. So that is one. Another area of attention here for us is the public screens that has been more and more sort of in the eyes of the market now due to the pandemic. People don't want to touch any displays on the street or I would say anywhere. And in these situations, it's convenient to use a system where you don't need to touch it. They're also often larger. You are at a distance, so some sort of body interaction may come into play in those situations as well. And then we have the third one here, which is an extremely exciting area that is of a lot of attention at the moment as well. That is the automotive. A lot of things are happening in the automotive industry, as you know. We are moving towards electrifying vehicles, but also there is a lot of things coming now with related to displays in the car and also safety. And that is the two spaces we see as targets for gesture technology in vehicles. Number one, the interaction with the displays. You will have a number of displays for convenience, and in some cases necessity. You can interact with your hands and do that at a certain distance in the front seat or in the back seat. The other one is safety. So there will be regulations now related to safety where there are requirements on new cars that it should be able to detect, for instance, the number of people in the car, if the driver had his hands on the steering wheel, if there is a mobile phone in the hand of the driver, and so on and so forth. And all of this, we can apply our hand and body detection and tracking and keep track on what's going on in the car, which is sort of exactly what this market is looking for at the moment. So I would like to wrap up with a patent. Actually, we are very proud to get our 12th gesture interaction patent here earlier this week. It was publicly announced, and it is an exciting patent because it's extremely relevant in the context of augmented and virtual reality. As you know, in your mobile phone, you always have a PIN code when you start, because you don't want anyone else to access your device. And the same thing is with augmented virtual reality products, of course, that you want to keep the information in those safe, and you need some sort of PIN. The problem with entering a PIN or a password in augmented virtual reality glasses or products is that it becomes, I mean, voice is not an option for obvious reasons, so people around can hear, but also using gestures could be troublesome because you will do that in a certain pattern. So if you stay on the side, you will be able to see how you move the hand in typing sort of the PIN. What we protect with this patent is that we scramble sort of the keypad that you have on this virtual screen. So you will have the same PIN numbers, but they will be located at different places. We believe that this could be a very powerful patent here. It's a European patent, and it's valid until 2032, so another 10 years from now. And it will definitely be something that is exciting to have here when we enter further into this augmented and virtual reality market with our products. So with that, I would like to wrap up. Thank you for listening, and I would be happy to take any questions that you may have in this space.
Thank you so much, Joachim. Excellent. And with us, we have also now Daniel Millison as well, our R&D director. So I think we can safely say, can't we, Joachim, that any question we can answer. You can do it on the business side, and then Daniel for sure can answer anything if it's even deep technical question, if anyone would have that. But we open the floor for questions. So just put it in the chat room. Before it was questions on that I wasn't displaying the screens correctly, and I'm very happy for you helping me to do that. I hope it's been better now. But any questions you have on gesture interaction, please just feel free to ask things. Joachim and I, we've been camping here, as I said, since 2012. Joachim has been sort of the CEO of the entire company, Crunchfish, but it's now, when we have two areas, it's still very much the CEO then of gesture interaction. And Daniel, I don't know, Daniel, how many years have you been with us? I should know that, but is it 5 years as R&D director?
It's just over 4 years now, actually.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, excellent. So yeah, someone is from RAM here. He's complimented excellent lucid presentation of this futuristic technology based on sort of AR and VR. Thanks, RAM. Any questions on that? I think you did it too well of a job, Joachim. No question. It was crystal clear.
Yeah.
Well, let's give people some chance if they have questions here.
Yeah.
Here's one.
I could. Yeah, sir.
I have a question here. Suppose it's not possible to say set your own gestures. You know,
so I can take that one. So yes, it's absolutely possible to define different gestures with different meanings. So what we have found though is that the more gestures you introduce, if you introduce a lot of gestures very early, it will be complex for any user to kind of like understand what all of these gestures mean. Like the far end of this would be like learning a sign language. Like so we already have like a very natural way to interact with things. And if you have a virtual world, you can actually grab and squeeze and move and press buttons pretty much as you would do in the physical world. So typically we don't have so much need for specific gestures, but you can absolutely define your own gestures if that would be needed for a specific reason.
Yeah, someone is asking, maybe that's for you, Joachim. What about competition in this area?
Yeah, so there are competitors, but actually not that many. If we look globally, we try to keep track of the few out there, and I think if we look at some specific solution parts here, for instance, what I mentioned here earlier about this stereo solution, we know that there is currently no independent supplier that is capable of doing this stereo skeleton 3D setup that we are actually having now. So and that we know from companies that we talk to, not the least in Asia and the US, where the main competitors are, and there is no such solutions today. So to some extent, we are actually one and the only capable of doing that.
Thanks, Joachim. A question on, is this sort of the next level of digital identity that you identify yourself, so you could use it for password, one-time passwords, even for payments, as we take our other area. Is this sort of if you pay using your sort of augmented glasses, can this be used in order to basically identify yourself and authorize things, would you say, Joachim?
Yeah, so again, you can use it as in the pattern example here, where we have it for PIN code and so on, for sure. However, the technology is not for identifying like faces, for instance. So that is not in our scope. It's we detect maybe faces and we detect hands, but we cannot say whose hand it is. So just to make that difference, but for sure to be able to type in PIN codes and by doing that using gestures, it's absolutely fine to do.
So to do basically an authentication of a payment, that you want to do that you authenticate yourself with your personal PIN for a payment scenario, we could certainly do that. Yeah. So because that's you hold your your passcode is in your PIN, basically. It's not your biometrics in that sense. Someone's asking sort of, is this of use anywhere? Someone wants to go see it live, Joachim, and we've been doing this for 2012, and but where is our technology out there in the market, Joachim?
Yeah, so we have customers out there for sure, and one of our bigger one are in Asia. So Lenovo and Oppo are two of them. If we look at the latest skeleton technology, that is not yet in commercial shipments, but there are demo software out there, and we have also projects ongoing in the space of both augmented and virtual reality, but also actually in the car industry. So to address one of the other questions here, I noticed that yes, there is definitely discussions and actually also projects ongoing related to the car industry in this space.
Yeah, and someone is asking, how is the proof of concept in Asia Pacific going, and will there be results at the trade fair? And you were at the CES show, Joachim, weren't you? In Las Vegas. You just came back.
Yeah, I was there, and unfortunately the client had to cancel, so our partner there were not able to go due to COVID. They were devastated, and they made that decision here just before New Year. The show started the 5th of January, so it was really a last minute call, but it was due to the COVID. However, the project was a success, and there will be now customer meetings during the coming months here, where we will show this instead. So unfortunately, that specific show didn't happen for that demo. I was there. It was still a great show, a lot smaller than it has been previous years, But I think a lot of exciting discussions and a lot of exciting companies still there. And I think we're looking at sort of a 2022 and onwards that looks very promising for this kind of technology. I think we have many times concluded that, yeah, we started this in 2012, and we were extremely early out with this kind of technology. I mean, back then we felt that, yeah, this is probably a little early, but that it would take 10 years until, you know, the market really starts to require and demand this kind of technology. We didn't expect, but what's good to see and hear now is that there is a lot of things happening now that requires this kind of technology. Augmented and virtual reality is starting to take off a little more, but also we have the automotive area that is really exciting now with firm legal requirements on the car industry, where they need to have this kind of technology in cars from 2025 and onwards. So this will be an ongoing work here over the coming years.
Yeah, and I think this patent that we announced, that was filed in 2012.
Yeah.
I think me coming into the company, I know we filed 3 patents first day, and this is one of them. That's why it has, you know, it has this lifespan, priority to up to 2032. Any patent is sort of applicable for 20 years. So we have another 10 years to go. But that means that we were very, very early to file this patent. That's why that's why it went through, because we are so early in this market. Ram was asking here, can I have this solution on my iPhone? And that's kind of a cool thing. I can take that easy one, Joachim, because we put this on iOS. Anyone could go and download GoCam, which is this is our first generation that you can just download GoCam. It's a fun sort of camera app, free of charge. And now what Joachim going to discuss next time is going to be XR Skeleton platform, which is the 5th generation. Just like in digital cash, we are now at the 5th generation for digital cash. We are at the 5th generation of gesture. What you can download and have on your is sort of GoCam, which has been, what was it, 2014, Joachim, we put it there? It was quite early. So let's see, we have more good questions. Thanks for all this. We have, what else are people saying here about questions? Is there anyone I've missed here?
Yeah, there was one about the operating system.
Yeah, exactly. That's Alejandro. Sort of, does it need to be attached to any specific operating system, or is it adaptable to any AR/VR software?
Do you want to take that, Daniel?
Yeah, I can definitely take that one. So we've typically been working very tightly with Android for a long time. So that is our go-to platform. But the code in general is very, very adaptable. It's platform agnostic. So we have been porting to Linux and running on other devices like iOS and so forth. So it is portable more or less to any operating system with some integration effort. Yeah.
Timmy, I know he's sort of a computer, but is it possible to see the demo apps? And he says, hey, but we have published many of these demo apps, haven't we, Joachim? So they are on our YouTube channel, and there are we sometimes, when we feel what you showed here, I think we even did a press release on, didn't we, Joachim, some year back or so?
Yeah, there are definitely videos on YouTube that you can have a look at. There is also specific apps. There is actually one that is downloadable from our webpage that can be run on both Android mobile phone, but also on AR glasses. View 6, for instance, can run that specific application. That is the downloadable one is, however, not our latest skeleton. It's the previous version, but still to see how this turns out to reality it is possible to do for sure. Yeah. And we have demos on skeleton as well, so that is manageable to provide, but we don't have that for free download anywhere.
Yeah, thanks, Joachim. All right, I think we've covered most questions. If I hope I haven't forgotten anyone, yeah, please you can continue chatting with us in the chat room. And I'd like to move to the third section, which is that co-create. Some of your questions has been really also of that nature, trying to help us to become even better. So I think we already covered a little bit of that, but it is interesting when we have such an engaged audience as today to hear ideas from you. If things that if you're getting ideas about, can we improve ourselves? We are honestly very interested to hear if there are ideas. We certainly think about that all the time. How can we be more relevant? How can we be more applicable to the world? What do we need to do that? That's basically what we are doing. That's sort of this responsiveness to change that we're talking about. That's our job, really, to do that. So any idea from you? Would love to see that. But you've already, I think you've seen ideas or thought of ideas like, can this be used in payments, for instance? You have a PIN code on your phone to pay. Well, can this be done? Yes, it can. And there are ideas already that has come up. So I really appreciate it for that. Shall we give it a few more secs, sort of, if we will have a question? Otherwise, I think, as I said many times, we always try to wrap up at the latest at 9 o'clock, but we don't necessarily have to run to 9 o'clock, because if this sums it up, then I think we should be happy that we had a good discussion here. So any sort of last word from you, Joachim, and for you, Daniel?
I'm happy to see so many participants. There will be sort of more webinars here coming up where we dig deeper into specific areas. So this was the overview, but I think I want to stress that gesture control, it is an exciting area. It's really complex, which make this sort of hard to do. Hence, few companies out there that is capable of doing it, especially when we're looking at these more limited sort of chipsets and extreme requirements on performance. So I think it's going to be really exciting to follow now the next years here to see what we will be able to do within, for instance, the augmented virtual reality and the automotive space.
Thanks, Joachim. Daniel, you are the guy who's solving everything for us. Any last comment from you, Daniel, and with your fantastic team?
No, what I take from this, like, there's a lot of, not a lot, there's actually like a few YouTube videos on our channel that could be a good, like, people asking, where can I try it, where can I see it a little bit more? So there's a few, maybe they're a bit hard to find, I think, lost there, because there's a lot of older content as well. But what I take away is that, like, hands-on demos, it would be actually something very cool to release a little bit more. And we do have a lot of stuff internally that we could potentially release for Android that people could download and test, just more like a tech demo app. But I think it's interesting anyway, even if we're not shipping like consumer products here.
Yeah. All right, so let's wrap up that section. Joachim, can you go back to the presentation again and put it on? I'm just thinking of wrapping up and looking a little bit forward to what's going to happen next, because this was sort of the first gesture, and you're gonna, well, you or someone else in gesture will be back in 4 weeks. We will do because we run on these webinars on a cycle. There is always, we start every sort of month really with, it will be digital cash, and then it will be gesture, and then it will be digital cash again, and then we will have a more of a broader Crunchfish focus. And the plan now, what we want to do is next time it will be back to digital cash. We'll talk about digital cash benefits. After that, we will have a broader Crunchfish focus, and we've actually swapped that yesterday because of ski trips for an external sort of presenter. We will do Alf Ripple from Västra Hamnen Corporate Finance, who will talk about how he can do equity analysis on Crunchfish. What is his assumptions and how does he build his discounted cash flow model? That will be on the 28th of January. On the 4th of Feb, we will be back to digital cash again. It will be digital cash for CBDC because we really have a really strong sort of offer with our digital cash platform for CBDC, and we'll cover that more in detail on the 4th. And then on the 11th, we will talk about Gesture again. It will be the XR Skeleton platform. So with that, the time is 8:41. It's 19 minutes in our office till breakfast. So I think we will have to go out there and help some people lay the table. So I think with that, we say bye for this time, and thanks for joining this webinar, and thanks for being there for us. We'll be back in next Friday with digital cash benefits. Thanks a lot.